All right, this time we're factoring a trinomial with an a value. So we have a coefficient here. That's our a value. So we're going to do our first step, and that is get our GCF for this whole thing. So if I pull a 2 out of all of that, then I'm left with x squared plus 4x minus 12. All right. So for now, I'm just going to drop the 2, and I'm going to work this right here. This looks exactly like something we've seen before. It's a trinomial. We're going to set it up just like we've done before. So I need to find my pieces, the a and the c. So that's 1 and negative 12. And then that add up, so I'm looking for my factors that add up to 4. So given that this is a negative, one of my pieces has to be negative. And because I have a positive here, I know that my larger piece needs to be positive. So my factors of 12. So 1 and 12, larger piece needs to be positive. 2 and 6, larger piece needs to be positive. And 3 and 4. All right, so let's put those together. So that's 11, this is 4, and this is 1. So this right here is what I want to use because that gets me to 4, which is our middle term here. Okay, so I'm going to use the M method. All right, and bring down my pieces. So I have this, and I have this. Now, I'm going to use this right here to build the middle. So I have a negative 2x, because this is our x term we're dealing with, and a positive 6x minus 12. Now, I'm going to use parentheses so that I can group these into pieces. So I'm going to group that, and I'm going to group that, and now I'm going to find the greatest common factor of this piece right here. So I can pull an x out of both of these terms. That leaves me with an x and a negative 2. Now I'm going to repeat that over on this side. So between these two, I can pull out a 6. If I pull a 6 out of this, I'm left with x. If I pull or divide a 6 out of this, I'm left with a negative 2. I have pieces that match. This matches this. That means I've done my steps correctly. Now, I'm going to reassemble, recombine, and bring my pieces back together. So my outside pieces are going to go in one parenthesis, and my inside pieces are going to go in another parenthesis. That's because this is multiplied by this, and this is multiplied by this. That's exactly what this statement says. So that's our final answer. Let's give it a try on another one. So I have 3x squared minus 18x plus 24. All right, so my first step, whoops, let me back up. I forgot to bring down my 2. Oh, I remembered it way at the end. Thank goodness. This is my final answer. Don't forget your 2, like I just did. All right, so I'm going to try not to forget it this time, but I am going to factor out my GCF. So in these 3 terms, I can pull out a 3. So I need my x squared. 18, negative 18 divided by 3 is negative 6x. 24 divided by 3 is 8. All right, let's see if I can remember that this time. So I'm going to create my t-chart. AC is 8, and I'm looking to add up to negative 6. That's a pretty large number. And because this is positive here and this is negative, both of my pieces in this case are going to be negative. So negative 1, negative 8, negative 2, negative 4, and those are my only factors of 8. So negative 9 and negative 6, this is the one we want to use. All right, let's try the M method again. And I'm going to bring my pieces down. I have x squared and 8. I'm going to bring this 3 down here so I don't forget it. All right, so now I'm building the middle. So we're going to use -2, that's an x, and -4, that's an x, and then my other pieces. All right, now I'm going to group these together so that I can factor them out and they're a little bit easier to work with. All right, so between these two pieces, I can take out an x. If I take an x out of that, I'm left with 1x. If I take an x out of here, I'm left with 2. Now I'm over here. They share 4. So I can take a 4 out, or a negative on the outside. I'm left with x. If we're taking out a negative, this needs to be a negative because originally it was positive. A negative and a negative gets me to positive. So I'm going to divide by 4. -4 gives me a -2. Now, my pieces on the inside match, so I've done my step correctly. Now I need to build outside pieces, inside pieces, yay, I remembered, and bring down my 3. So my final answer looks like this. All right, so give it a try.